Today we're going to talk about capping and share some statistical analysis the community collaborated on to show that there really is a right and wrong answer to the question, should I cap as much as possible to win? I really want to thank WOTstars.com for providing us this data that we use to perform the analysis. And it's a great site if you want to go check your stats. He actually uses console-specific values for tanks, which gives you a more accurate depiction of how you're doing, if that's important to you. And even if not, and you don't care about your stats, it still shows you all the medals and everything you've gotten in a much more nicely done interface, I think, than Wargaming's site. Part 1, the capping mechanic. So capping's part of the game. It results in a win if you cap before the other team caps or before they kill all your players. But I'd like to propose there's really more to it than that not everybody always cares to pick up on. I'm not saying that people couldn't pick up on it, I just don't think they care. They just play. It results in you actually doing worse in the game in the long run, right? Because wargaming is smart, and you may not think so, but you would be wrong. The main issue is that people feel winning is everything, and that's the catch. That's what they're playing on. You aren't really winning when you cap out unnecessarily. It has a negative overall impact to your experience in the game, your team's experience, earning XP and silver, your win rate, etc. And it sounds counterintuitive, but we'll get into why in detail and hopefully educate people that doubt the theory. See, the mechanics of a freemium game are more or less designed to make you struggle. And this is a freemium game, right? You don't have to pay to play it, but you have to pay for certain things that will help make it a little more palatable in certain examples. So if they make you struggle more, they, as an aggregate, the population is going to spend more money to shorten the reward cycle. And capping, believe it or not, is part of that. Capping offers the lowest XP and silver reward per win, which does multiple things to you and your teammates. First off, it extends your grinds, and XP gains are minimal compared to kill-all approach. 2, it lowers your win rate. At least that's our postulate that we're going to try and prove when we look at the data. But this makes sense because you're on the cap and your gun's out of the game. Therefore, your team is at a one-tank disadvantage minimum. 3, it prevents you from learning how to actually play the game. It's called World of Tanks, not World of Parking Lots. And 4, and this is not true for everybody that's doing it, but there are a lot of people who, they're selfish. They want to win for an op or for something else, but it's like cutting off your nose in spite of your face. It's the worst reward per minute played result you can get on a win. So capping is fine if it's the win of last resort, and it's acceptable to do that. We're not going to get into it in this video. You can find a million threads on forums and on Reddit talking about why. But only if it's the win of last resort. The habitual cappers generally are going to be players who aren't as skilled and win less, like I said, counterintuitively. And this is something that good players have been telling me for a very long time. 4 or 5 years? I've been playing for 5 years. So that's what we're going to talk about next, is the capping fallacy. So the capping fallacy is really that you'd think that a method of winning would make you win more. And what everybody has been telling me for years, and we finally have the data to try and prove, is that that's not the case. For the reason that we mentioned, where it takes your gun out of the game, and there's many more reasons. See, the thing is, though, this game's complex and it's obtuse and it's not transparent at all, and nobody teaches you the real mechanics. I mean, that's why we put a lot of time on the subreddit into creating valuable content, into encouraging people to take part in the Adopt a Tomato program. I mean, winning is more fun, right? So we always want to try and help people win. But the game is just, it's kind of not really easy to learn unless you have some help. So people see, oh, I can cap and win, and they think, oh, that's like the best way to go forward. And that's on purpose. The whole point is to increase frustration and therefore gold spending. And again, I don't begrudge Wargaming that. They know what they're doing, and that's fine, and it has to make money or we wouldn't have this game to play. And honestly, I've never played a game longer than this, so I guess they're doing something right. So the fallacy is that winning is the goal of the game, and here's a hint, it's kind of not. At least it's not the only goal. The real goal is to acquire tanks that you want to play through grinding lines. And winning, believe it or not, is only an arguably smaller portion of that than how you win. In other words, winning isn't the benefit. Winning is an outcome of which you have a few choices on method that can have far different results on your experience depending on which of those choices you make, both short-term and long-term. When you cap, you might get 500 experience points for a win if you really short cap. A decent player will make more than that. even when they lose. And, you know, if they carry a team and win, they can get 1 in 2,000 points, and you will get much more than that 400 or 500 for a short cap. So every short cap win can take you, you know, 2 to 4 times longer than if you just played the game and let your team carry you, or you learn to carry. I mean, you know, look, there are resources out there. We encourage people to improve and to learn together, and that's fine. But even if you're just like, no, I don't care, you have to carry me, you would still be doing better letting your team kill all. You're literally wasting everybody's time with short caps. So ponder that. A losing player who has a decent round can make more silver and experience points than you when you win with a short cap. And it's not just them, you screw the whole team, because it's a team game. And although nobody can stop you from being selfish, we can at least try and teach you the mechanics properly so that you make more informed decisions. And look, if you do it because you just don't know, I get it. I mean, this game, I can't tell you how bad it was for how many thousands of games until I really finally started to understand how it works. If you're doing it because you're selfish, well, you got other problems, and, you know, it's nothing I can do in this video is going to help you with that. But I'd like to think you're the minority. So we're going to hope that most people just don't understand that they're harming their own experience, and that through education, you know, we can show them really what the right answer is, which is, you know, play the game, don't cap. So part 3 is kind of where the rubber hits the road, right? I've talked a bunch. You may agree, you may disagree. It doesn't really matter, right? So what matters is, what does the data show us? We know that wargaming keeps track of a lot of stuff. And public API is available in some sites, you know, like WOT Info and WOT Stars that we worked with on this. Capture that data, and, you know, we want to, we can analyze it. We can actually see what does the data show, right? So we took a look at the data, and what was clear almost immediately is there's a visual correlation between buckets of players with lower win rates and higher cap points. So first thing is, you know, let's look at some basics. We're going to look at cap and decap points, you know, over win rate with win 8, just because that's something people are really familiar with. And what you can see here is that there's 2 correlations that seem likely, and that's that the more you cap, the more you lose, and the more you defend your base, which is generally the sign of a stronger player, the more you win. So that's the first thing. So it's very easy to say, okay, yeah, you have the data. What, you know, did you do any statistical normalization? Yes, we did, because, you know, we want to make sure that, one, you know, everything wasn't like smushed in one standard deviation. I don't want to get like too technical, and I'm not a stats guy. You know, I just did some very basic stuff. But we did create z-scores, which is basically just showing, like, here's the range between the bottom and the top and where this value falls in. So you can ensure that there actually is enough distance between these readings that it's statistically significant. So I'm not just showing you cherry-pick stats to say, I'm right, capping screws you. It actually shows you a statistically significant, you know, realistic view of that. So we have 2 charts, the Z charts I call them, that do show you that, you know, it's true. If you cap more, you tend to be a worse player on the win 8 scale, and you tend to not win as much. So, you know, then we just break it out, you know, cap over win rate, you know, with win 8, just to break it out, and then also, you know, second decap versus win rate with win 8 on the scale. So the data shows that the eyeball test was right. Capping leads to worse outcomes, and you should avoid it unless there is no other choice. And that's the data speaking. That's not super unis, that's not me, that's not people who disagree with you. If you think cap first, the hell with everything. You know, this is what the data says. If you're capping first as a way of playing, or you're capping more, you're actually losing more. You are actually causing yourself to have a worse outcome in the long run. So there you have it. The data shows it. So part 4, the conclusion. You know, so what do we do? Well, stop capping. No, really, I'm serious. Stop capping 3 minutes in the game. Stop capping when, you know, your team is up by 5 tanks and people are making you more XP and silver by killing the remaining reds, because it's a shared pool and you all make more when you win in the, you know, quote-unquote better way. winning is not everything in this game. You got to put that to rest. Saying otherwise just shows, honestly, you're ignorant of the admittedly obfuscated rules of engagement that wargaming has put together. But once you see the data, I mean, if you're still going to be that stubborn, then, you know, what do you expect? You know, like if we're showing you that like you are actually making your experience worse and you're going to do it anyway out of spite, like I said earlier, this video nor any other is going to save you, you know. So, you know, use the cap as a tactical tool, not the be-all end-all. Apply cap pressure to split the red team. Cap when necessary to win because it's your only option. And I know I said I wouldn't, but I will give examples of capping when it's the right tactical play for a victory. You know, one, you're vastly outnumbered and there's no chance the Reds remaining, you know, can get back and kill you on the cap. So, like, if you're a light tank, you're on the cap and there's a mouse all the way on the other side. Let's say you're bottom tier, you may not really pen him or take his 3,000 hit points, so it's okay. You can cap then. Your close in numbers are have the advantage, but you have very low HP tanks or a bottom tier. That's the second one. Number 3, like, look, I get it. There's one light tank left that's trying to hide from everybody on a huge map, and people don't want to spend 4 minutes looking for him to have the timer expire. The fourth one, you know, the unenlightened red team short capping, and nobody can get there to stopping. So you might as well make everybody lose with a short cap out of spite. You know, I mean, it's... You can't really do that as much anymore because of the 5-second rule was gotten rid of, so I guess number 4 doesn't really apply. Now, as soon as they're done capping, you just lose. So I would say, you know, number 4 is only if they put the 5-second rule back in. Some people disagree with some of those, and especially number 3, but I just want to make the point that there are times when using the cap is tactically advantageous. It is a minority of times, though. So nobody who knows how to play the game is going to tell you should never be on the cap. So, you know, that's what it is here. Utilize the knowledge and the data the community has put together to improve your skills and enjoy the game more. And that's really the goal of this. It's not to be I told you so. It's to say, look, I understand that when people say don't cap, it leads to bad outcomes. It's very easy for you to say, well, show me the data. But we're showing you the data, and it's worse for you. It's worse for your team. It's worse for the community. It, you know, ruins the game experience, and it just plays right into making things, you know, harder for everybody. So don't do it, you know. So that's pretty much it. We're going to try and do some additional analyses depending on what kind of data we can pull together. And you know, if this is something you want to talk about, post something on the Reddit, and I'm sure people would like to have a conversation with you. Or if you want to learn, like, okay, well, how do I get those long haul ops if I'm not just capping? Well, just by playing, right? Because we've shown that by capping more, you actually make it harder for yourself to win those. So good luck on the battlefield in the new environment in which less people will cap, right?